She hugged me again, and for a few seconds after, I set down the luggage, and then she said she had to go to the bathroom. When she got out of the bathroom, I was standing away from the bed, looking out of the window into the dimly lit alley. I got the impression that she was embarrassed about the room. She came to meet me at the window and we started kissing. In less than a few minutes, we were undressing each other and we ended up having aerobics that night. Instead of waking up in the DoubleTree, I spent the night with her in that dingy hotel room in the alley. In the morning, we showered and I took her to breakfast and coffee just a few hours before her boyfriend was scheduled to arrive from the UK. We stayed in contact via Facebook. Within a year, she and her boyfriend split up and she was back living in New York City, but by then, I moved across the country to work in San Francisco. Just some final things. Others and I have benefited greatly from your viewers' stories and travel tips, so I thought I would share some of my tips. I have travelled to over 30 countries in Europe, South America, Asia and North Africa. I've often travelled with girlfriends or friends, but sometimes I've travelled alone. Here are my travel tips. Number 1, stay in a good quality hotel. I always stay in a 4-star or 5-star hotel. Outside of the US and UK, they are much cheaper, often a third of the price, and they seem to take care of their guests and their luggage things. I justify spending a lot on hotels because I don't drink that much alcohol and normally I eat only 2 meals a day. 2, whenever I've had a problem in life, traveling or otherwise, it was because I didn't prepare myself for the risks. After some mishaps early in life, I've gotten better at anticipating risks. I travel with 2 wallets. One stays in a safe and has all my credit and debit cards. The other has one form of government ID, but not my passport. The second wallet also has 2 to 3 times the cash I think I'll spend that day. If a woman comes to my room, all of my valuables are in the safe and I only have the wallet with cash outside of the safe. Peter has said this before, but it's true. Never be led anywhere in the world. The person leading you will always appear to be non-threatening, an older woman or man or a young pretty girl, but they can lead you to some very bad situations. Some friends of mine in Germany last year got led into a strip club in Hamburg by a hot girl and they got in a bad situation buying drinks and it cost them $500 to get out of the club after an hour. Had they not paid, some bouncers from Eastern Europe would have beaten the crap out of them. It's important to note that my German friends were German guys in Germany, but they still got taken advantage of. Put yourself in the shoes of the person you'll be dealing with. If you were born in a life of poverty, consider how you might feel or what you might be tempted to do when dealing with a wealthy foreigner. If they cheat you out of a couple of $100, don't worry about it. This is a final point that Peter and I disagree about. Bargain for services and things that might cost you serious money over time, especially in Southeast Asia and East Asia. Everything is negotiable, including the price of a short time, long time, happy endings, art and souvenirs you bring home. For working girls, they care about what you look like, where you're staying, the quality of your hotel, how far away it is from where they are working. And if you could be a repeat customer of income, sponsor, etc. If I'm not happy with the price of anything anywhere in the world, I just decline or walk away. Often the person selling whatever it is will lower their price. Okay, so there's some good tips there, but I just want to clear up something he said, which wasn't quite accurate. He said that we disagree about bargaining. What I'd said in the past was, yeah, for sure, if you're in a market or a shop where you can bargain, try and negotiate. And I've never personally tried to negotiate the price of some things, like I wouldn't go to Terminal 21, go to one of the big shops and try to negotiate in that situation. But where we disagree is I won't negotiate the price of a meal from a street vendor. So if you've got some woman there who's doing 16 hours a day cooking and she's selling a pad thai for 50 or 60 baht, I won't say to her, can I have it for 40 baht or 35 baht? Because I'm happy to pay the full price because I can see she's scraping a meager living out of her food cart and I'm very happy to help her out. If she's made me a nice cheap meal, then I'm happy to pay the full price for it. There's no way in this world I'm going to negotiate with a food seller on the street or somebody who's selling little trinkets for 20, 30 baht. That's so I just wanted to clear that up because that's how I operate. Okay, let's jump in. We've got two more to go. Let's jump into story number 4. I've got a story that your viewers may find interesting and informative. A few years ago, I was in Pattaya and bumped into an Irishman and we became friends. We drank in a little bar in Soi Honey, which was frequented by many expats, mainly Irish like my friend Frank. Although only in his early 40s, he said he didn't need to work and was looking for a solid investment in Thailand to give him a modest return and interest to occupy his time. Like me, he had been involved in the bar trade back home, so maybe he could open a bar in Pattaya, but would have to have a niche to compete with all the other hundreds of bars there. A week or so later, he said, "I've got it. I'm opening an Irish-themed bar called Mrs. Brown's Boys, after the comedy series so popular back home." I'll just cut in at this point. I've changed the name of the person and the name of the bar so that if the guy's still around, he can't be identified. His friends, especially the Irish ones, thought it a great idea and promised to support him when it opened. Over the next couple of months, we stayed in touch and he had met a local lady. They found large premises in Soi Honey and he arranged to buy and renovate it into his bar. His girlfriend lived a few miles away with her mother, but he was comfortable because he didn't have any talk about a sick mother needing medical assistance. She said she had sufficient money from a previous marriage and no kids, so she didn't need his money. Just an income from a job, which made Frank more relaxed that he wasn't getting involved with a scammer. She stayed with him some nights, but usually went back to see her mother. He was relaxed because she hardly ever had calls in his company and they were getting closer. The bar purchase was getting to completion and he had no qualms about putting the property in her name in accordance with the law. As he was advised, for the next month, the bar was totally renovated and he acquired lots of Mrs. Brown Boys memorabilia, like pictures, pub mirrors and clocks, presumably found on Amazon. I'm not sure. As a result of word of mouth in Pattaya, the opening night was very busy and the following weeks were the same. All looked good. He decided to invest in a good kitchen to offer Irish stews and other simple items at an attractive price. He thought the outlay would be more than paid for in a few months. He had now had the bar with his girlfriend for about 4 months when his girlfriend said her mother was becoming poorly and wanted to return to the family home to be with the rest of the family. Frank offered to pay for the airfare, but she said no, her uncle would pick her up in a couple of days and she didn't need any money. Although sad, Frank was convinced that she was genuine. 2 weeks later, she said her mother had died and she was going to the funeral. Frank offered to go, but she wanted to go alone. A week later, she returned and said she didn't want to live where she had with her mother and wanted a place nearer to the bar. His condo was too small, so he looked for a place for both of them. They found a nice place near Beach Road and he bought it again in her name. Next step, things were so good they were together most of the time at home or in the bar, except for a couple of times a week when she told him she was seeing friends. He then proposed to her and she accepted. The wedding was planned in a month. He then contacted me and asked if I could come over and stay in his house and just look after the bar. Nothing much, just open the bar and close later, also collect take-ins from the assistant and bank them and deal with any small problems that arose. I was happy to go and my flight was arranged for the day after he left for the honeymoon. This is when it gets messy. I arrived in Pattaya and went straight to the bar to introduce myself to the staff and get his house keys. The staff were most unhelpful and I couldn't get Frank on his phone to tell him what was happening. I walked out of the bar and went to the bar where I had first met him and noticed his friends were there. I explained to them what had happened and I was totally confused. They then explained that 2 days previously they had been in Mrs. Brown's Boys and had heard loud voices. It was Frank and his girlfriend. He told them that she didn't love him and would not marry him and that she wanted him to leave the bar. He was obviously very upset and was shouting at her when police arrived to eject him. The following morning, there was a knock at his door. 2 policemen were there to arrest him for causing a disturbance in the bar and told him to bring the passport to the police station. One policeman went to push Frank and he pushed him back. In the police station, he was told that he would have to pay 30,000 baht fine for the bar disturbance and 20,000 baht for assaulting the policeman. No appeal, pay now or go to prison until a court appearance in a few weeks. He paid, and this was noted on his passport.